Hey, this is Notser, and this is 10.9 full release overview. I'm going to drag you right over to the settings right off the bat. We're going to go into control, and then if you come down here, there's a brand new option. By default, this is disabled in 10.9. I highly encourage you to enable it. If you are someone like me who's a fan of the alternative interface mode, they have decoupled the display of timers for fire, flooding, or other modifiers from this option. So as long as you have this checked, it will be reintroduced into the UI so you can benefit from that. Definitely do that. It's a no-brainer. Other additions, we've got a brand new personal challenge mission system, which will give you a way to earn German tokens without spending doubloons. Now, it is set up similar to rank. Each week, it will reset the requirement for German tokens, and I believe it will reset the personal challenge requirement as well. As you are successful, it will progress the difficulty steadily up. This is a base XP requirement. It's the fairest requirement that they could have in the game. I am a huge fan of it. You'll note that you can only accomplish this in random, co-op, or rank battles. And each time that you are successful, you earn 15 German tokens and 50 coal. Now, at that rate, it would take you 34 games to reach the maximum amount of German tokens each week. You'll note, though, it only has a cap on German tokens. So you could conceivably grind out coal each week endlessly. And that's a good source of coal for those of you who are interested in it. But overall, the system is wonderful for someone like me. I have a ton of ships, so I can very easily move around the different class and faction combinations and easily obtain the maximum amount of German tokens each week. One thing you'll notice, you cannot accomplish it with the Soviet aircraft carriers yet, and the German and American submarines are completely omitted from this list. Playing submarines will have no contribution towards this, which it's a good thing because I think there's going to be plenty of people who are interested in playing submarines in random battle for the first time. But this is a way to incentivize you of playing everything else, which I'm a fan of because there's a lot of ships to play. Other additions to it, those same submarines, there is a 3-mission structure chain. First mission requires 12,500 base XP, can only be accomplished in random, rank, or co-op, tier 5 through 10, sorry, and you will be able to unlock the submarines that you can rent for what looks like 10 days. This is date, month, year. Obviously, as an American, this is weird for me, but I can also understand where it's coming from. So you get about 10-day rental, 10 to 14-day rental-ish. After you unlock the tier 6, the next 2,500 base XP and at least tier 6 through 10 will go towards the tier 8s, and the next 2,000 will go towards the tier 10s. After completing all 3, you get 3,000 coal, which is pretty awesome. Again, a nice source of coal for you to grind. Also, if you do 700,000 hit points worth of damage to ships, you will unlock a German battleship symbol, which looks pretty awesome. And this can pretty much be accomplished in everything other than training room and the convoy game mode. So those are pretty cool. I like all of the different additions to the game. I understand that there's people who would criticize the Submarines addition into random battles, and I understand your criticism. Especially if you are someone who hasn't played against them or is interested in shooting a lot of surface ships. I've seen some situations where there's been like 4 DDs and 2 submarines. And there's been an aircraft carrier. So there hasn't been a lot of surface ships to fire at regularly. But I also haven't seen a lot of submarines, and especially up front. Obviously, the base XP requirement means that you have to unlock it first before you can play it. and you will see a steady increase in the amount of submarines over time. And, eventually, obviously, it took me 1 day to unlock all 3. Your mileage may vary, but you will run into people who have done similar. They've also added the German Battlecruisers to the armory, and those same German tokens can be used to unlock the German Battlecruiser line. They're doing something slightly different here. If you want to spend doubloons, it's pretty much you buy German tokens and some signal flags, and that's it. There's a cap that you can only do 30 for each, so they don't want you to just hog up one of them, I guess, if you have a shortage of Hydra or Basilisk or whatever. But, this is a good source if you want to spend money. It's a lot fairer and it's a lot less random, so I can get behind that. So it steadily progresses from tier 3 all the way to tier 9. And your same sort of style where you get the premium, then you get the ship itself, and it stops before you can get access to the tier 10 Schlieffen. In my UI, you can't see it, but at the time of you watching this, it'll probably be available. From October 7th through the 11th, there will be an auction. The first, or the highest, 1,000 bidders of doubloons will get early access to the Schlieffen. Now, this is obviously going to cost a lot, and I'm sure there'll be a lot of people that'll try and get this. And I believe that this is global. This is not something each 1,000 in each region. I think it's 1,000 around the world. So good luck. It's going to be expensive, whether you get it or not. I already put out a video on the Schlieffen. I really enjoy it. I wouldn't change a thing. Here is the premium skin and how it looks. I think that the overall Battlecruiser German skin looks pretty good. I like the eagle design. I like the different colors. And I like that it's, different from what I've seen before. I really appreciate that. Now, other things to note. The Mackensen is the minimum requirement to unlock the unique German flag. I've seen some people say, I really like that flag. How can I get it? Well, it's the tier 6 Mackensen, which is, I'm not quite sure. I think this was 200, 300, 400, 500. So this is about 1,400 German tokens. So you could get it in 3 weeks without spending a dime. You could also have some community tokens stored up through however means, and you can get an early jump on some German tokens, so that's a good way to do it. Also, there is obviously this random, and then you have the Signal Atlantic, which is completely random about how it rewards, and there is nothing associated, at least to my eyes, with German tokens, so I'm kind of confused why this is here, but regardless, it's up there, it's an option, your choice, not mine. The German Battlecruisers are pretty awesome. So I just want to tell you my thoughts on the German Battlecruisers before we close this out. Schlieffen, awesome. I love the 9, I love the 8. The 10, 9, and 8 all have great strengths, clear weaknesses, and they work very well as secondary battleships. I personally play secondary survival, but you could go all in on damage if you would like. I can't say the same for the mid-tiers, and I'm going to showcase the tier 7 because I think it depicts this very well, especially once you see what I'm talking about. So obviously Prince Heinrich, tier 7, German Battlecruiser. Now let's take a look at the armor of it. You'll notice that the nose is 25 millimeters. Okay, battleship noses 25, 26 at this tier. We're used to that, right? Yes and no, we are. So I just want to give you an example of a worst case scenario that you might run into if you were to play a tier 7 German Battlecruiser as a secondary ship. Let's say you're bottom tier and you're in a tier 9 match and you're going up against the Bismarck or a Pommern. They're going to have 11.5, 12 kilometer range secondaries. They have enough gun caliber to completely overmatch this 25 millimeter part. Now, not the 30 millimeter, But you could conceivably play against the Musashi or another 457 gun the Georgia, which will cut through this 30mm like paper or butter or whatever, something soft, fleshy. That will be a bad thing for you if you're trying to approach aggressively as a secondary player. Pretty much everything that these mid-tiers will face will have this potentially available to them. It's just whether they realize it or not. And as people get used to playing against them, I can promise you they will know about this weakness. So if you are in this matchup, you could play the Prince Heinrich, have a maximum secondary gun range of 9.5 kilometers, and you could go up against 11.5 or 12. You know, literally 3 kilometers worth of distance that you would have to cover. And as you're getting closer to these same ships, their guns have enough caliber to completely overmatch your nose. So, yes, you can get your secondaries in range, but now they're in range to punish you harder. So it is a very difficult line to play mid-tier. Obviously, the same weaknesses apply as the Schlieffen. You know, the Citadel is a typical waterline Citadel. It has a lot of armor on the outside on the midship, but not on the nose. You know, all the different things that I highlighted on the Schlieffen, it's here too. So you can just keep in mind, as you are potentially unlocking these German battlecruisers, the mid-tier especially has a tough time being bottom tier or equal tier with most of the competition, especially against battleships, because they have really big guns for this overmatch weakness. So I highly encourage you to potentially go survivability first on your mid-tier German battlecruisers, and then potentially consider the secondary commander skills as a secondary option to a survivability build or a survivability skewed secondary build. I would highly discourage you from going all in on secondaries at these tiers, because you would just be punished so hard that you won't even feel like you're playing a battleship in a lot of ways. So I just wanted to highlight that, because I know that people are excited for these guys. They are fun to play, but they are very obviously weak in areas that you cannot just cover up completely. So that's 10.9 overview. There's obviously the Halloween Saving Transylvania. You can see that the Hamburg port is here. The Halloween port is also available if you would like to use that. Anything else that I can highlight real fast? Rank has been reset. Submarines are not in rank play anymore, so you can go there if you want to hide from submarines. They are in random battles, and you will be playing against them. They did make changes to the submarine, so let me just draw attention to that real fast. Also, every ship that will face a submarine will have some type of anti-submarine weaponry. If it's a ship that is deemed overpowered and no longer available, like the Musashi, they will get really weak anti-submarine weaponry, like 5 kilometer range maximum airstrike range, which is pathetic compared to something like the Yamato, which is 1 tier higher, and they get like a 10 kilometer range worth that. So the German submarine torpedo ranges have been buffed. Also, the submarine now only launches 1 torpedo at a time. Those are both changes that they've made consciously and will be testing in 10.9, along with all the anti-submarine weaponry. But really excited for 10.9. I hope you guys are as excited as I am. I really like the additions of the German battlecruisers, and I really love those personal challenge missions. I'm someone who really likes that. I love a challenge, and that looks exactly what I want. Tell me in the comments what you think of 10.9's release, and if I left something out, please don't hesitate. Share it with the community. I love you guys so much. Thanks for all the support. I hope you have a great day, and I'll catch you next time.